Shalom and welcome to this week's Living Torah. And if you're wondering why this came out a little bit late this week, the newsletter on Friday as I'm recording, this video was not put up late is because I just have not had the mental, spiritual capacity to do it. I think I was able to get a program done with Hanok and with Barry, but kind of pushed this one off. It was quite a weekend. More on that in just a moment. Of course, right now we're watching as the next hostage release. There were 8 this past week, and what is slated for Shabbat is that the father of the Bibas family. I saw his picture this morning. Where is his wife, his children? That is going to be one that I think every one of us is going to be watching for. So. With that, I'm not going to give all the details of what I did with the youth this past weekend up in Pennsylvania, because I'm actually probably going to sit down and do a message that is a recap of that for each of you. There were some things that I did that were, well, let me say it like this. I went in not wanting this conference to be a kind of like a trip to a theme park, in which you walk in, you go on one ride, then you go on another ride, then you go on another ride, and you eat something along the way, and by the end of the time you're at the theme park, you leave and say, wow, that was a wonderful time, but nothing was really accomplished during it. And that is my, quite bluntly, that is my opinion of most conferences. It's like going to a theme park. This speaker, let's eat, this speaker, let's go, let's have a little time of prayer. Well, that was nice. And that doesn't profit anything. I can tell you that from being with them, and we started at about 7 o'clock on Friday night, went all day on Saturday. We were from 9 o'clock in the morning until about 10 o'clock at night. And then on Sunday morning for another 3 hours. During that time, I was actively teaching, not just sitting around, but actively teaching for, I think I figured about 10 hours. So I'm a bit on the punchy side still. But what was amazing, if anyone, kind of considers, does the world have any hope? I was in the room with a number of young people that gave me hope. I saw them writing notes. They would come up to me afterwards and say, Mike, I wasn't able to write fast enough. Could I take a picture of your notes? Could you send me those, your notes later? And I heard later on that they were up. Many of them were in their dormitory up till way after midnight, talking about things. So that's when you know that that something was done that, God willing, has eternal consequences. So this group of youth, just amazing. And when I sat down, we were at breakfast, lunch, dinner together. I sat there, and it's not always that anybody actually sits with me, okay? Because they know I don't care about a lot of things in of discussion, especially on Shabbat. And so every time I sat down, or wherever it was, I had some one of the young people, or a number of them, coming up and saying, could we talk to you about something else? And so it was an absolutely overwhelming weekend. Thank you for your prayers. A couple of them are actually preparing right now to go to Grenada. A couple of them are preparing to go to Kenya. So, God willing, that which was accomplished in their lives this past weekend is already going international. All right, so one last thing is, before I get into this Torah portion, is I watched yesterday morning, again, this is Friday, yesterday morning I woke up to the horrific news of a plane crash in Washington, D.C. It is unnerving to see some of the posts that are on Facebook of people who are going to conspiracies. I mean, before the bodies of these people have been rescued, people are already trying to figure out a conspiracy to tag onto that. I find that personally disgusting. But the other aspect of this that hit me very, very deeply, Kathy, also, is that both of us were in air traffic control, as many of you know. Kathy and I both were in the military, in the Army. I went on to be with the FAA. And in 1981, August of 1981, let me slow down. Brain cells are not enough for me to talk that fast. So August of 1981, myself, about 11,400 other men and women walked out on strike to try to force the hand of the FAA, the government in that day, to upgrade the working conditions and also the equipment that is used in air traffic control. We were fired because the media demonized us, literally saying we were just a bunch of money-hungry people, which was never the case. It was about safety. Money was nice, yeah, it would have been nice, yes, but because we were, I believe, underpaid for the job that we were doing. But in that day, many men, women gave up their careers, their goals, their dreams, their retirement, in order to try to fix a system that was broke. And this past accident, midair, was simply, in my opinion right now, was the ramifications of a system that is yet to be fixed how many, 43 years or so from that. I won't go into all the details that I know personally of it, but these things don't really need to be happening. It's human error at times, yes, but human error is going to be more in line when you have people that are overworked, people that are stressed, and people have always asked me. They said, I've heard that's a very difficult job. Yes, it is. It's even more difficult when you have pressures put on you from outside that shouldn't be. Okay, I'll get off of that high horse right there. Let me turn that monitor back. All right, we're going to get into this week's Torah portion, which is Bo. Again, this is a very special Torah portion for me. This is my birthday Torah portion. I was born on Passover, and so this Torah portion would have been read. The word, it says, Yudhe said to Moshe, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have made him and his servants hard-hearted." The word there is translated "bo," is actually, it's translated as "go," but the Hebrew equivalent to it is actually the word "come." Come unto me. And the first time that is used in Scripture is in Genesis chapter 2, verse 19. And it says, so from the ground, Yudhe Elohim formed every wild animal, every bird that flies in the air, and he bowed them to the person to see what he would call them. He brought them to the person. He brought them to Adam. But it was not that he was just, that he was saying to the animals, okay, you need to go over there. No, he was bringing them, establishing them, and what Adam would see in the animal is that which he had seen in the animal, okay? The purpose established, and this is what I was speaking to the youth the whole weekend, that purpose and identity are very closely matched. They are not just two sides of the same coin, but purpose and identity cannot be separated in any way. This was I'll call it an encounter with identity. When each one of these animals was brought to Adam, and now we don't know. I mean, there was not as many species as there are today. Okay, we didn't have the labradoodle and the this doodle and that doodle. Maybe Adam was doodling. I don't know, but we didn't have all that stuff. You had dog, and when he called the animal what we would say dog, It was, we see in Joshua, the book of Joshua, Joshua and Caleb. Okay, his name means dog, which is also the lev, which is the word for heart. What did he see? He saw in this dog something that was very close to a man's heart. Last night, Kathy and I came back from dinner, and our dog, Kaya, which means life of Yah, and she has really given us life through these years. She's an Australian Shepherd, and she weighs about 60 pounds. She's a mini, which is laughable, but she also thinks she's a lap dog. And she decided that she wanted some lap time, which is really like, okay, am I going to get hurt in this? But she crawled up in Kathy's lap, and then when I reach over to pet, she's staring at me, and finally I reached over to pet her. She gets up, comes over to my side of the recliner, and it was, it's love. Okay, this is the heart, and so each one of these animals that comes to Adam, he's not only looking at them and going, okay, well, that's a bird. No, he is proclaiming, he is prophesying actually the identity, the purpose of that animal in the animal's name. And so when Moshe is told, come into, what is that saying to us? Is, first of all, that the Almighty is already there in that Pharaoh's palace. He has already established a work that is going to be done in Pharaoh's life. And Moshe, part of his identity and part of his purpose is to bring forth the purpose of Pharaoh's life. In verse 2, it says, oh boy, should have turned my lights up a little bit. So it goes down, and where's verse 2? It's got to be in there somewhere. So that you can, okay, why am I doing this? So that you can tell your son and grandson about what I did in Egypt and about my signs that I demonstrated among them, and so that you will know, and you will all know, that I am Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. This account that Moshe is involved in right here. The encounter that he is having in Egypt, the encounter that he is having in the Pharaoh's palace. This is all about the telling of a story to generations to come. We're told in Exodus and various places that you are to tell this account to your generations, to your sons, to your daughters. Why? So the message of the covenant, the message of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, the message of his desires in our life would be passed on in quote-unquote story form. Why did he not give us just a book of rules and regulations? Because we would forget those. He gave us a book that is stories, accounts of real people going through real things in their lives, and we can tell that. I showed someone a picture the other day of Passover in which I dressed up as Moses. Folks, people don't forget that, okay? Because I'll make a terrible looking Moses, especially with glasses on so I can read the Seder. But those are things that our children do not forget. And so all that's going on is about this account being passed on to generation after generation until such time as there comes a so-called greater event that we would then talk about and pass on to our children and grandchildren from there, that which is called the greater Exodus. Now there's a little bit of a negotiation that's going on here between Moshe and the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh says, okay, the men can go, but you are to leave your children behind. Moshe's like, no, that's not happening. But see, why does he put it there? Okay, kind of trying to bring out the whys of Scripture this year. Why did he put this part here? Why did this happen? In order to challenge us. Is it enough for you and I, parents, grandchildren, or parents, grandparents, to make it out of Egypt? Are we going to settle for us making it out, but leaving our children and our grandchildren behind? In this Torah portion, I'm thinking, and I don't know what tomorrow will bring. I do not know what the news will bring. But I saw the news this morning. It's one of the first things I said to Kathy. I'm thinking about what it would be to be the father of that family and to be freed from captivity, knowing that you had left your wife and your children dead or alive. They're living beings, or they're dead bones. They're dead bodies. To have left them behind. That would be the ultimate insult that the enemy could give to someone. And so Pharaoh's like, well, hey, you guys can go, but leave the children behind. No. Why did I fly up to Lancaster last week? Because I refuse to do whatever I am able to do within my power, within the power structures and political structures that is religion. I desire to do whatever I can to not leave our children and our grandchildren behind. Now, from there, it is the declaration that the locusts are coming, and Pharaoh once again gives this false repentance of, okay, I've had enough, we can't have this thing destroyed anymore. Oh, yes, we can. And so the false repentance of a leader, which if we could put this, and you can run with this one on your own, put political systems and religious systems in the light of Pharaoh, okay? We can make Egypt great again so that, I'm going to go out on a limb here. We can make Egypt great again in order for you to forget about moving on to his full promises. We can make the exile, the diaspora, we can make that great again if you will just forget about this thing of going on to his kingdom being established on this earth. Just stay here. That kingdom thing, that is for another group. Okay, I hope you got what I just said there. There's a false repentance, and then in verse 20 of this chapter, it says that Yah hardened the heart of Pharaoh. Now, is this fair? Life is not fair. But there's another concept going on here. The possibility that Pharaoh was actually given a time period in which, this guy thinks he's God himself. So Moshe comes into the picture, Moshe and Aaron, and Pharaoh is given an opportunity to diminish in his own sight. All right? Kind of step down from the throne of his own life and allow the Almighty to stand up, to be upon that throne. See, none of this had to happen. The plagues, all the things that went on, Egypt could have been left as a great military power, It could have been left as a great economic power, all of those things. But there was a purpose behind the scenes. Number one is the Hebrews would not leave. In fact, there are writings that state that only 20% of the Hebrews left during the Exodus. 80% stayed behind in a land that had been totally decimated. I was asked the question the other day by someone that said, do you believe that the Jews will eventually leave America? Without a breath, I said no, because I don't think they want to leave. And the key is, and something Hanok and I have talked about, that most Jews living in America today are not Jewish Americans, they're American Jews. That's how they're termed, American Jews. And their allegiance is now to the exile, to the diaspora, not to Israel. This is why, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I'm not going to, I know it's either 3,000 or 30,000, I can't remember which one it is, have left Israel since October 7th of 2023. They have left to return to their quote-unquote homelands, because Israel is not enough of a homeland for them to fight for. All right, so this is kind of, this actually gives some confirmation possibly to this idea that only 20% left. Now with that, the Pharaoh, however, had the opportunity to not only just allow the people to leave, but to encourage the people to leave, and Egypt would have been fine if he would have stepped down from his throne of his own life and allowed the Almighty to step into that. Everything's a different story. He didn't. So the battle that's going on here of hardening his heart is that the Almighty is looking at the decision that Pharaoh is making of being filled with himself and saying, okay, you want to be filled with yourself? I will make that a little firmer. You ever been around somebody that was in a place of kind of like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. My life is not being lived the way that it should, but that's the way it's going to be, and I'm going to move on from there. That's that filling of himself. Chapter 11, moving on, it says, I'm still going to bring one more plague on Pharaoh in Egypt, and after that, he will let you leave. When he does let you go, he will throw you out completely. Now tell the people that every man is to ask his neighbor and every woman her neighbor for gold and silver jewelry. It goes on from there. So the last thing that happens, one of the last things that happen is they're going to go over to their neighbors who have owned them in a way. All right, these neighbors, I could go into a lot of this. Why are they neighbors? Why, they were supposed to be in Goshen. They came in, and Joseph put them in Goshen, but now the Egyptians are called their neighbors. It's not go to the city across the valley, but go next door to your neighbors. Why? Because the Hebrews had been assimilated into the communities. That's my opinion. But they're then told, go to your neighbors and tell them, hey, guys, all of this work we've done, you've gotten pretty rich off of it. We'd like our payment. And so they give them gold and silver. Oh boy, why? Think of it this way, that they're given something for the Hebrews to make a decision. Is life about them, or is life about him? So what we're given is not about us. It is about him. They will not understand this until we get to Exodus chapter 25, and the first offering for the building of the tabernacle. Have you ever been given a windfall? You're given a raise. You're given something. What is your first thought? What is the first thought? Let's say that you get a phone call later on in the day and somebody says, hey, by the way, I'm sending you, $5,000. No strings attached. What is your first thought? Well, we can go to the store and buy this and this and this and this. Or is your first thought, well, this is what I can give to the kingdom. This is the portion I can give to his kingdom. Let's set that aside now first, and let's figure, okay, now what can we do with the balance of this that would also enrich his kingdom? Okay, and I'm not talking about giving everything. Okay, he doesn't ask us for that. He only asks us for a tenth. But what we do with the 90% also is revealing about what our priorities are in life. I'll move on from that one quickly. Chapter 2, verse 2, you are to begin your calendar with this month. Oh, this one just brings forth all kinds of issues in me, and in you probably. We see and have seen for years calendar issues. Is there some validity to these issues? I believe the answer is absolutely. Last night, Kathy and I did our personal new moon. What we do, we give thanks. We kind of lay out what we would like to see in the coming month, and there are blessings and prayers that Kathy and I do together on that. Something that we've been doing since back in the year in February. Amazing. February, I think it is, February, March of 1998. So we've been at this thing for a little while. The validity of different calendars. Today, as I'm teaching, this is the first day of, now I can't find it, but Shavat. This is actually day 2, and the calendars are coinciding fairly closely. Okay, well that's great. That's wonderful that the calendars are coinciding closely, but in the end, I am not looking for, well, who's got the right calendar, but what's the purpose of the calendar? Okay, why is he giving us a different calendar to go by? Up until this time, I believe, they were going off of what I would call the creation calendar, which would be at Yom Teruah. Okay, you can have different opinions. This is just mine. Yom Teruah, which is Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the year of the creation calendar, the establishment of the earth. But the establishment of the earth must have us established in our purpose on the earth for the purpose of the earth to truly be realized. You might want to rewind that one. And so this time is about, I want you to look from this point on that the Passover, your redemption, your coming out of a place of exile, a place of Egypt, a place that can be looked at as leaven, can be looked at as worldly ways, all those things can be put in there, that you are to look not at your physical birth, but as to your spiritual birth as the beginning of your life. For me, I can go back to, I was born in 1958. What that means is when I go online and I'm having to, put in my birth date, I have to do a lot more scrolling than I used to. I mean, by the time I scroll down that far on the screen, I need to take a break. And some of you are in the same place, okay? But I feel that the birth of my purpose upon this earth was not until 1986, when my Creator and I had a conversation. And in that conversation came out a birthing of who I really am and am to be. So this is the birth of the restoration of Torah, or excuse me, of the restoration of Passover. This is the day in which Passover, the message of Passover, is reestablished in the community in the Hebrews, taking us back to Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. Let me take one more run at this, that without Passover, the message of redemption, the message of Genesis 3:15, we are no more than dead men walking. Every person upon this planet that has not come to a place of their own Passover experience. I'm not talking about the sitting down and eating of the elements. I'm talking about the spiritual rebirth that comes through Passover. Every single person that has not come to that place is a dead man walking. Now, with that, let me say that the book of Romans tells us that the heavens declare, that creation declares, and that someone that is on a deserted island by themselves, if they are seeking this restoration, they can see in themselves that there are flaws. There's something that they don't even know what the word is for, that if they begin to seek in a desert island situation, the creation will teach them enough of their Creator that they would be redeemed unto Him. Verse 42 of chapter 12 is one. This was the night when Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh kept vigil to bring them out of the land of Egypt, and this same night continues to be a night when Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh keeps vigil for all the people of Israel throughout their generations. What is this night about? This night is not about him. This word vigil is a word that in Hebrew, the root word for is shamar, or to guard. And this is a night that we remember once a year that he is guarding. That is a specific night that he is, I do not believe that there is a time that he is not guarding, but on this night, it's a night of remembrance of that guarding. The theme that I would use for this verse would be out of Psalm 121, starting in verse 4. He who keeps Israel, he who guards Israel, does not slumber or sleep. The reason that there is an Israel today for you and I to be grafted into, adopted into, is because he never slumbers or sleeps. He never lets his guard down. For those of you who have learned some tactical things, you know that there are different places, color codes of life, of white, of yellow, of red, black, depending on the color code that you have learned under. But there is a place that, as a shepherd, you never go to that. You don't allow yourself very often that place of white. White is a place of unguardedness. White is a place of, that's your Calgon, take me away, if you remember that commercial. That you're totally vulnerable, not watching anything around you, not caring. Basically, that's the place that most people are in today all of their life, okay? But then there's yellow and red. You can't live in red. Black is the all-out fight. You're in the war. lead is flying. You can't live in red, you can't live in black, but you live in a caution of your life. And so, all of that being said, the Almighty never allows himself to live in white, yellow, or even red. For him, since the beginning of creation, he has been engaged in an endless fight and has never slumbered or slept. He has kept vigil. And this night, this first night of Passover, is the night that you and I should be remembering that. One of the things that I taught them, if I do this message, I'm going to go to, I believe I'm going to do this message this next few days. It'll be available on our website here in a few, next week sometime. One of the things I hit really strong this past weekend was for these young people to look at their the Torah portion in which they were born under, okay, their physical birth. You can go to anybody out there. You can go online. You can type in birthday Torah portion. That's going to take you. The best one that I've seen is Chabad, Chabad, Chabad.org. And but just do the Torah portion. It'll take you directly to that link. You type in your birthday. It asks you, were you born after sundown? We're in the diaspora. I don't really look at that. And if you know, okay, stick it in there. I have not looked at my birth certificate to find out. I guess I should. But it is, I believe, and I saw this happen. Some of the youth were coming to me and saying, "Wow, this is amazing. This is who I have been all my life. I just didn't know." So your Torah portion you were born under is, I feel, a mini prophecy of your life, an insight into your life. And the Torah portion, Bo, is my Torah portion, but then the reading, there's specific reading, and that would actually end with these words of verse 51. On that very day, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their divisions. If there's anything that drives my life today, it is this thought of helping those who feel they are part of Israel to now walk as Israel, and therefore begin to walk toward the covenant, to walk out of worldly ways and into the fullness of his covenant, which will eventually be his kingdom established on this earth. So I just give you that one, okay? Passover is not a day. Passover is a season. It is taught, and I believe this, that you have not observed Passover until you have observed Shavuot or Pentecost. The reason being is because redemption is not full upon this earth until we have gotten to the place of instituting his ways, his purposes into our lives, which is the Torah that was reestablished into his family at Mount Sinai. With that, so this is a season of time. The season begins with a mini season, which is in verse 6. Moreover, it will serve you as a sign on your hand, as a reminder between your eyes, so that Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh's Torah may be on your lips, because with a strong hand Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh brought you out of Egypt. These words are repeated at the end of this Torah portion in verse 15, 16, I believe it is. So what is this about? We will read these same words over in the Shema. You shall write them as they shall be as a sign upon your hand, upon your forehead, and you shall put these words upon your doorpost. Talking about the mezuzah. So what is going on here? The message of the Passover, the season of Passover, is to be, as it were, as a sign upon our hand and as a frontlet upon our eyes. This does not negate any kind of any other aspect of the commandment. For many, it's the tefillin today. Not getting there right now, but this is to the aspect that the what is being taught here, I believe, is this: that the message of Passover. And what is the message of Passover? Go back to the 5 I wills. I will redeem you. I will take you. I will give you. I will bring you into the land. I will make that land an inheritance for you. This is the message of Passover. And so the message of Passover is to be, as it were, upon our hand. What is our hand? Our hand is what we do. It is what we put our hands to. It is said, may that which you put your hands to prosper. I will give you wealth, the Deuteronomy. I will give you wealth in order to establish my covenant. That which we put our hand to should be for the establishment of the message of Passover. You shall place this between your eyes. So what do our eyes do? Our eyes see, our eyes perceive, and our eyes allow us to walk in a forward motion without tripping over something. If you are blind, you're going to have some kind of aid. You're going to have someone's guidance. If not, eventually you can memorize a path, but if somebody puts something out there, what are you going to do? You're going to trip over it because you can't see it. And so the message of Passover, the message of redemption, the message of Genesis chapter 3 verse 15 should be our guide in life. Our eyes direct. We look at something and we go toward it. So that message of redemption should always be out there in front of us, and it should be guiding us in our forward movement. Along the way, we're going to be reaching out our hand to do things. And what should be the purpose of our doing? It should be for redemption, for the purposes of the covenant, to help others, to reach over and help others in guiding them in these covenant principles also. So with that, we see this setting in which Moshe is now being called. He is having an encounter with his identity, and because of that, he is having an encounter with his purpose and is understanding that which the purpose in which he is remaining alive. Why has he been sustained? Why has he been kept alive? To show forth the glory of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. All right. With that, again, my thanks to each person that this past weekend spent time in prayer for these for the time that I had in Pennsylvania. To those who watch this program and were part of making that happen, this is not just another me trying to say something, but words fail me in English, Hebrew, or any other language. Words fail me in my attempt to show my gratitude, to tell you my gratitude for doing that. And that goes along with those who have faithfully supported this ministry, not just so you can watch, me on a weekly basis, or me and Hanok, or me and Barry, or me and Alex, or whatever, but what am I trying to say? Tired. Still, it's days later, I'm still tired, but looking forward to a Shabbat. I'm able to do what I do, whatever it is that I do. I'm able to do that not because of some great grant that somebody's given, or whatever. I'm able to do that because of your faithfulness of prayer, your generosity in giving unto this ministry, your trust in me and Kathy, and there's no words that can ever express that. I only can pray that whenever the time of reward is, that I've said this, it's been a long time, my dream of that day, of us giving an account for the life that we lived and the effect that we had on other people. My dream would be that the Father would give me the honor to stand in the room and watch all of you receive the rewards. I go out and I have the experience, the wonderful experience, and I try to come back and tell people about it, and I can't, because I don't know, I have no idea all that goes on. But I get the memories of that experience of being there, but there are rewards of that you know not of, and I just would love to be, Father, to give me the honor of seeing your face when the rewards for your prayers and your generosity of that which you did for this ministry, for others, for the things you do on a personal basis, when you receive that. So, only words I have is thank you. Toda Rabbah in Hebrew. We'll step it up one. Shabbat Shalom. Shavua Tov. Have a blessed, prosperous week. Be'ezrat Hashem. God willing. See you again next week. And until then, be strong.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.